take a step back and you realize, what am I going to miss out? My whole life is ahead of me. You know what I'm saying? So it was at that moment when I realized I needed to do something different in order to obtain a different result. So it's like I said in the initial interview, I actually took that OG's advice and I started studying the law. I went to school for law behind bars. I graduated, and I realized, you know what, there's potential that I have not tapped into.
Yeah.
So then I got the GED, and I remember I graduated, and I'm like, I'm not gonna stop here, because this is just not enough for me. So I kept going. I got enrolled into the HVAC class, the heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. So the more and more I started obtaining education, I started seeing a change within myself. The way I speak, the way my mannerisms are, my character, I noticed a major change. And I realized, you know what, I'm onto something good.
Yeah.
So it didn't stop there. Then I went for the business degree. I actually got enrolled in college while in prison for business. And I remember I obtained that degree. And I like business, that's why I conduct business now. Um, I didn't stop there. I then went to, okay, from the business, okay, I then got a graphics design degree, in which that's where I do a lot of graphics design, whether it be from vector graphics to raster graphics, to pixelated images, whatever it be. Then I studied business law, which is another form of law because we have
Very
different
important.
sectors.
Very important.
Yes, you need to learn how to defend yourself in criminal court if you're a criminal. Most importantly, if you're in business law, because you need to know the difference between a copyright, a patent, how to protect yourself. Because we deal with a lot of things in business in which we've had major security breaches. Most recently, the one I've shared with you. Obviously, they're not too they're nothing nice, and it just depends how big the breach is that we're gonna have to do a lot of cleanup or work behind it.
Yeah, definitely.
So once I got that degree, the I actually went and got the Microsoft degree, and I also got a welding degree after that.
Wow.
So I'm like, I got all these titles, but I've earned them. I got so many degrees that if I put them on my wall in my home, it would actually be, I could look at them, and I stand with pride because how can I say, many people that are from the hood that actually step away, not many can achieve that.
True.
But when I saw the change within myself, what education did for me, that's when I said, you know what, I'm gonna share this blessing upon others. And I got heavily involved into education, and the prison system actually hired me, and I would actually be the one teaching inmates how to read, how to write. I got them from third grade reading levels to eighth grade reading levels. All 90 something percent of them, if not all, could not write a proper essay. They did not understand or comprehend how to start one and how to structure one. So I had to teach them how to write properly, from penmanship to grammar, um, to basic algebra to geometry. And I worked with them one on one. I actually saw the change in their lives the same way I witnessed this with in my life. So when I took it there, I remember I would prepare the inmates one by one. Some I would have to chase down because it's like you said, they get relaxed.
Yeah,
They would
true.
start playing poker, gambling, um, writing letters. They just did not want to chase that education. So I was the one that was there with pen and paper and said, "Come on, brother, we need to study, man."
Yeah.
And I was able to graduate many inmates to where the prison system noticed that the 3 yard in Tehachapi was graduating the most out of the entire prison, you know. And of course, they love that. I love to see the change in individuals for the better. And many people, man, I saw the change when I was teaching them how to read and write, basic academics such as like math, uh, science, history, all that. And when they graduated and they obtained their GED and they were holding it in hand, some of them would cry. Some of them, their eyes would open up and like, you know what, Lucky, thank you, man, because this changed my life. I said,
Wow.
that's good, man. Now that you've graduated, now we take it a step further. Let me talk to you about college. And I would actually show the inmates statistics based on education. So essentially, this is how it is. The more education an individual has, the higher income they make in their lifetime
It's true.
versus, and they're less violent. So on the other side of the spectrum, we have individuals that are not educated and they're actually more violent. They make less money in their lifetime than someone who simply just graduated from high school or obtained their GED. Now, when you get a college degree, a skilled trade, skilled labor, it actually projects you to earn a higher income. You
Yeah.
know, so people with better living, they're not as financially stressed. They actually don't, they tend not to be as violent, you know, and it changes somebody because based on synapses at the physiobiological level, you, I actually have seen CAT scans regarding the brains of individuals, and they had three brains. One, the person was highly educated. The second was somebody who had a skilled trade, such as, let me see, let's use for an example, welding, versus the third individual had no education at all. And those
Okay.
CAT scans actually show the synapses within the mind of an individual, and you could clearly see the synapses built, powerful. You can see them. Now, the person that just had a simple skill trade, they did not have as many synapses. So you could see very little. You know, now the person who had no synapses was equal to that of someone who had no education at all. You know, and you could see a lot from that because based on how individuals grow, every time you have an experience, every time you learn something, the mind builds synapses based on that experience. So someone with higher education is better adapt to make better choices, to become
Yes.
less violent, versus someone who has no education is someone who would easily fight, easily let others get to them, and right away they end up shooting somebody over something they could have walked away, but end up doing life behind that decision, you know? And how can I say, this one's going to be a little bit off, but you'll understand why I say it. So you can literally go to sperm banks and sell your sperm. And based on that, they're going to ask you, how much education do you have? How much do you earn? And what is your job title, you know? And based on people who have no education, their seed, their DNA is worth very little. Now, somebody who has education, they start making a lot more money for that same DNA.
Makes
You know,
sense.
so you know, and I've actually, because I've studied anywhere from sociology, psychology, arts, the humanities and the arts,